Hello, everybody. Have you ever thought about having a website without a cookie banner? Can you remember the times when you could surf on the web without having those pesky cookie banners displayed? Well, I do, and actually very often. And that's why today I'd like to share with you an innovative approach in order to set your website up without having to set a cookie banner. So, you all know the situation when you visit a new website, you are facing a cookie banner. So here, a first example where you can see that there is some text with additional explanation. You have the possibility to customize. You can reject the cookies. You can accept all. Here, in this case, you have a more little banner with a link on it, the possibility to accept all the cookies or only essential cookies. Then here you have plenty of options. Apparently, you can deny, you can customize, you can allow all, you can have details, you can have about. So some are well designed, some less, but especially on mobile, the experience can be kind of frustrating, especially when the cookie banner is taking the whole place of the screen. So what if I told you how to set up your website without a cookie banner? But first of all, let's take a step back and see what actually is a cookie and why we call it a cookie. So the term cookie comes from a former concept in the IT world where it was talking about magic cookies. So you can imagine whatever you want about that. But those were data tokens that were exchanged between programs. And actually this term was taken over because it sounded simple and friendly. And today, this refers to small pieces of data that are exchanged between a web browser and a web server. So how does it work? So when you browse on a website, when you browse the internet, you go to a website, your web browser is actually sending a request to a web server. This web server sends back pieces of data and also sets a cookie on your web browser. This is stored then in your web browser. Here, it's a little bit technical. Sorry for this, but I think it can give you a deeper understanding to have this micro view. So left, the first step is that you have an HTTP request. So HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which is basically the foundation of our World Wide Web. And it sets the communication between a client and a server. So here we can see that with the web browser, we want to access the homepage of the website example.org. And when doing so, the server sends back data and sets a cookie on your web browser, defining, amongst others, the theme of the website, but also a session cookie in order to be able to identify you when you browse the website or when you come back later. And at the end, we see the last step is that we want to get to another page on the website, and there we already communicate the cookie so that the website, the web server, can identify us. Enough technical stuff. Let's talk about the different type of cookies that exist. So in general, we differentiate between essential cookies and optional cookies, or first-party cookies and third-party cookies. On the one hand, we have the first-party cookies, which are the essential cookies. Here we differentiate between session and security cookies. So as you can see, we have a session ID cookie that lets the web server identify the session of the user. And then we have in the preferences the preferred language of the user and also the time zone in which he is currently. Those are strictly necessary. And for those cookies, we don't need a consent. So the notion of consent is important. We will come back to this later. And then we have the optional cookies, which are the third-party cookies. And those are used in order to track you, to track your behavior, to run advertising campaigns. So we have advertising and marketing cookies, like G-Ads from Google, that lets Google do the work behind the scenes in order to target you and to show you ads. Then we have the FBP, which is the Facebook pixel. And then we also have another type of cookies that are the analytics cookies in order to see how you currently behave on the website. Right. So now, why do we have cookie banners? Here is another example of a cookie banner where we have a link to a cookie policy. We can accept all or reject all. Cookies have been configured or set in order to provide a more seamless user experience when you browse the internet, when you go on a website, but they could also be used in a harmful way because they can be related to privacy data. So the legislator at one point decided the websites to get the consent of the visitor in order to use those cookies. Okay? The thing is, those cookie banners, if they are there to get the consent of the user, they can kind of break the user experience. So when you land on the website, you see this cookie banner. Sometimes you click on it, you don't really know what you actually accept. So there is a kind of limited understanding. And also, it can have an impact on your conversion rates. If customers bounce, if they don't come back because of this cookie banner, this can have a direct impact. So removing a cookie banner from your website can reduce the friction and lead, in fact, to a better conversion rate. And that's why at Odoo, we don't use a cookie banner. So let's have a look on Odoo. And here, you can see we are on the website of Odoo, no cookie banner. How nice is this? And I will show you, we have here a Chrome extension that lets us identify the different types of cookies that are currently used by Odoo.com, which are front-end language, session ID, and time zone. You remember, these were strictly necessary cookies in order to provide a good performance of your website. And those are first-party cookies. So we don't need any consent in order to run the website. Then, in order to analyze a little bit the behavior of our visitors, we have chosen Plausible, which is actually an online tool that doesn't use any cookies and that is GDPR compliant, as it doesn't use privacy-related data. And here we have a demo data that is accessible online to see how it looks like. So Plausible offers you the possibility to analyze different data like unique visitors, total visits. We have total page views, views per visit, bounce rate. So the most common KPIs that we expect from an analytics tool. We can also filter by time, by period. We have other possibilities. And if we scroll down, we can see that we have different sources. We have a top page ranking, cities, devices. Those information are vehicled by the web browser and are under a couple that is called fingerprint. So no privacy-related data here. Okay? And at one point, I could stop the presentation here, but because this is basically what I wanted to show you, that we don't use a cookie banner. But I'm joking. I can hear some voices telling, but what if I want to do advertising now? Well, it is possible, and I will show you today that we can have a website without a cookie banner, but doing some ad tracking. For this, I will have the use case with Meta. And in order to do tracking with Meta, you have to use what Meta calls the pixel, which is actually a piece of code that you have to add on every page of the website in order to better understand the effectiveness of your advertising and the actions people take on your site, like visiting a page or adding an item to their cart. So Facebook or Meta is actually asking us to put a pixel on every page of the website. But if we do so, we should use a cookie banner. So how can this be possible to have a website without a cookie banner and do tracking? So first of all, I'd like to show you the interface of Meta, which is the Facebook Event Manager, which is here, and where we can have an overview about the different trackings and conversions that we want to track into our tool. So basically, it's a graphical interface where we can analyze per time the different conversions that have been realized. And here we can see that I already did some testings. So we will see now how this works. So let's imagine you're comfortably installed in a big auditorium somewhere in Brussels, and you notice that you have a notification on your website, on your smartphone, sorry. You open it, and then you think, oh, just have a look on Facebook. And there you scroll, and then you see, oh, there is an ad for this brand new drone, and this is actually the one I'd like to buy. So you click on it, you land on the website, you have a look, just to be sure that it's the one that you were looking for. Yes, so really beautiful pictures with the intelligent flight battery. This is the one I want to buy. I want the maximum height. I will add this to the cart, go to my cart, do the checkout. I have a standard delivery and wire transfer, and here I will agree to the terms and conditions and the privacy policy and pay now. And here we land on a thank you page. And now let's have a look into our Facebook Events Manager. And here we see we have a conversion that has been tracked just a second ago. So how is it possible? We didn't have any cookie banner installed, so no consent, and we tracked the conversion. What's the mechanism behind it? What happened? So I'll show you. The flow implementation is quite easy. I don't know if some of you have noticed, but when I clicked on the Facebook ad, the link was parametered. So I have a UTM source with Meta in order to identify from where the visitor is coming. This UTM cookie doesn't store any privacy-related data or doesn't communicate with a third-party app. So this is not a cookie for which we need the consent. As a visitor, when I was purchasing, I accepted also the terms and conditions with the privacy policy. So at that stage, I gave my consent. And then what we did is to add a script on a thank you page where we added the script with the pixel in it. So we can see here that we have a condition. If there is the UTM cookie with the source Meta, then please push the conversion to Facebook. And this is possible because we already get the consent of the visitor. I will show you how it looks like here. So if I go to my drone, I will add it to the cart. And I will just show you here that compared to before, when we were on odoo.com, basically we had just the first-party cookies. And here we have our UTM cookie, and we have the Facebook pixel that has been activated because I used the UTM cookie. So if I go to my checkout, I will pay now. And here, I will get to my editor. And on the thank you page, I have here the possibility to add my script. And so at this stage, the conversion is pushed to Facebook so that we can track the conversion. So for those who are interested in this solution, you can scan the QR code It's available as a forum entry on our website. And I just wanted to add a little thing. Um, it's just a suggestion to work like this. It's definitely not an obligation. You can take it as a trick with you. It works and it respects the privacy. So I hope you like it. And now I suggest to go to the Q&A.
Ah, we have some question. Can everyone hear me? I think so, since I'm hearing myself. Ah, yeah. Ah, but continue.
Hello, everybody. I think we had a little mix-up. So we have some questions for you, Stephen.
Yeah.
First of all, how does a no cookie banner approach comply with GDPR or similar privacy regulations?
Yeah, so in this use case, we we use just first-party cookies. So for those first-party cookies, we don't need any consent. So that's why we don't work with a cookie banner.
Okay, thank you. Then the next question is, are there regions or countries where a no cookie banner approach could lead to legal actions? It's a bit related to the first one.
Yeah, yeah. I know that in Europe the legislation is quite strict, and so I think the use case that we suggested here is it's okay because we get the consent of the visitor at one stage. So if we get the consent, then the use case should work. But I would take care of the legislation for sure in order to respect this. Yeah.
It sounds like a good idea. Then we have another one from the same questionnaire. What are the alternatives to cookie-based tracking for targeted marketing? If there are any.
Yeah, there are. But first of all, maybe leverage the first-party cookies, the use of the first-party cookies. And there you could also do contextual advertising. So based on the content that is that you have a sort of linguistic related analysis in order to push advertising. And there are maybe other tools to do it. But yeah, this is the thing I'm thinking about.
Okay, thank you.
But maybe we can add that there is some other alternatives. Is the server tracking, but it's not something we propose to do for the moment.
Okay, thank you. The next one. What are the options for embedding YouTube videos while protecting users' IP addresses?
We have, with the update to Odoo 18, we have the possibility to exclude third-party apps, and you have the possibility also to not show YouTube videos before you get the consent of the customer. So this is something we now integrate.
It's an Odoo 18 now.
Yeah.
All right. Then the UTM source cookie isn't the tracking cookie, question mark. Shouldn't you ask for permission before tracking users?
But as I already told, this cookie doesn't store any privacy-related data, and it doesn't communicate with a third-party app. So seen as this, it's not a third-party cookie, and so we don't need a consent for it.
Okay. And then the last one is just getting finished being typed.
Yeah.
Can the source still be added within a sale order to allow filtering in dashboards, or is this only possible with a cookie banner? So.
Can you repeat?
So can the source still be added within a sales order to allow filtering in dashboards, source like email marketing, the website?
Sure. You can use the source. It's just a part of the UTM parametering. There are other things that you could add, but the one that interests us here is the source in order to identify from where the customer comes. And our UTM cookie contains the source, and based on this, our script works. And to summarize, you could add this link for sure in an email campaign or somewhere else where you want to lead a visitor from the ad, from the link to your website.
So you don't need a cookie banner for that.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.